Welcome everyone, my name's Andy Hoffmeister, and this is the first of a series of videos where I'm going to walk you through the major functions of the new SAM software from Academic Success for All Learners. SAM stands for Student Assessment and Monitoring and is used with the Reading for All Learners Beginning Reading program. So first of all, in order to get logged in, you need to visit portal.icsam.com and enter your username, which will be your email address, and your password. And that will take you to the dashboard. The dashboard is the hub of all of your student data. Also from here you access all of the key SAM functions, such as creating and managing the students that you're going to be working with, administering and scoring placement assessments, and tracking student progress lesson by lesson, including conducting the embedded looking back assessments, and finally reviewing student achievement data in a couple of different forms. Let's begin by creating a new student. The first thing you want to do is hit the Edit button in the All Students box, and then the plus symbol to add a new student. And we simply type the student's name in here. Now at this point, that's all you need to do. You can go ahead and save this student. But if you have groups set up, you could choose a group and assign that student to the group right now. You could also set a goal for the student, or set their initial placement in the Reading for All Learners series from right here. But for now, we're just going to go back, save this student, and go back to the dashboard. So now I've returned to the dashboard, and you can see we've got our new student created down here. Let's talk for just a minute about the information that's visible from the dashboard. First of all, for any groups that are created is a summary showing whether the students within that group are on track to meet their goals. Right now, all of the students in this account are on track to meet their goals, so these lines right here are green. If, for example, we change the goal for this student and set some significantly higher expectations for them, we would see that bar change. And now we can see we've got one student, John, whose stoplight indicator has turned red, meaning that student's no longer on track to meet their goal. And that information is summarized up here. In this case, there are two students in this group. Sam the Lion has a green indicator, and John now has a red indicator, so you can see how that's summarized up at the top here. Some of the other information visible on the dashboard is a summary of lesson participation or attendance for the last 30 days. Each of these small green hash marks indicates that a lesson was conducted and the student was in attendance. If a lesson is conducted and the student is absent, let me show you what that might look like. So in this case, we're looking at Set 1, Book 6 on March 5th, and we're going to simply mark the student as absent. And when we return to the dashboard, we should see a new hash mark. This one's red and on below these lines, indicating that the student was absent that day. So it's a pretty quick, easy way to kind of summarize both how many lessons have been conducted, as well as the students' attendance at those lessons. And then moving along over here in the progress monitoring section, we can see a listing of the book that the student is currently working on. So in this case, we're looking at Set 1, Book 6, and the goal that the student is working towards, which in this case is Set 4, Book 1. The last piece of information summarized on the dashboard relates to a student's performance in each of up to the last 30 lessons that have been conducted. Now, an important difference between this last 30 lessons section and the 30-day participation section is each of the hash marks or possible hash marks on this line relate to one calendar day. So for example, this would be today's space, yesterday, the day before, and so forth. So looking at John's data here, we can see there were 4 lessons conducted that he attended earlier this month, and 1 lesson 5 days ago that he wasn't in attendance for. These days in between, where there's neither an up or down hash mark, indicates there was simply no data collected on those days. Now, on the last 30 lessons section, these marks are not connected to a date. This is simply a summary of the last 30 lessons that have been conducted, which is why in this case we can see there are a lot more hash marks visible here versus over here. So when we look at the progress monitoring graph for this student, what we're seeing are some data points back in February, which were long enough ago that they're outside the last 30-day window. Now, we'll get into some more detail in terms of what the mastery criteria are when you're using this function, as well as how to use the embedded formative assessments for student progress monitoring, as well as all of the other SAM functions, including the placement process and setting goals. But the purpose here was to give you a quick overview of the SAM dashboard, and I hope you found this helpful.